Well, the good news is, Rhino, you don't have to drive 55 anymore, as per the song. Joining us now, Captain Criss Turnipseed with the Mississippi Highway Patrol. He's the director of the Public Affairs Division. Captain, good to see you this morning, sir. Hope you had a great Christmas.
Yes, sir, Gerard. Good to see y'all, too. I hope y'all had a good Christmas as well. Everything going well for y'all this weekend?
We are. Everything's going great. The weekend was fabulous. We came in the building today, which is without water, unfortunately, experiencing some water difficulties in the city of Jackson, but we'll be fine. We'll get through it. Most of the folks that work in here today, of course, are off. They are observing their holiday on this day after Christmas, it having fallen on a Sunday. The question for you, sir, is how do we did on the roads this weekend?
Well, this cold weather came through, kind of, I think, slowed things down a little bit. I was just looking over some of the numbers just a few minutes ago, and we've had about half the number of accidents this year opposed to what we had last year. But the bad thing about it, we did have 5 fatalities so far over this holiday period, and today's the last day. Actually, we go through midnight tonight, and we don't want any more of those. Five is a lot to me, in my opinion, to have over, especially with the amount of accidents that we've had. Like I said, half the amount of accidents, but 5 fatal crashes. So that's never a good thing to hear. So traffic is really starting to pick up now. I go back to what you were saying. Everything was closed today. I've been trying around looking at some things, and businesses were closed, but I think today will be a big day for travel. You know, people are going back home because they had this extra day over the weekend. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of numbers we end up with tonight at midnight.
When did the period start, Captain? You said it ends at midnight tonight, right? When did it start officially?
Started at 6 o'clock on Friday morning. 6 o'clock
Okay.
on Friday morning, and so you had that day, kind of the pre-Christmas Eve travel day, and then Christmas Eve, Christmas, and then today is the day after Christmas, which a lot of people are traveling home. A lot of people out here returning gifts, I guess, today.
Yeah.
Maybe going and spending some of those gift cards or what have you. So today will be a pretty busy day for traffic. I'm sure. I'm overlooking a highway right now, and it's pretty good bit of traffic flow out here today.
I got you. Well, of course, air travel was chaotic over the last few days. I just wonder how that may have impacted the motoring public. Did folks have to say, well, the heck with this, I can't get on an airplane, I'm going to have to drive? I just wonder, and maybe we weren't as affected in this part of the country, but even here, because of connecting flights and so forth, I've heard reports of lots of issues with our commercial flights in and out of the state of Mississippi. I just wonder how that affected traffic.
That's a good point, Gerard. I don't know that, depending on where you're traveling to, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, your flight gets canceled, and you know you're flying cross country. I don't know how many people are going to say, "Well, just forget about it this year," and then how many of them try to rent a car and drive across country. That's a good question. I have no idea, but I can look at our numbers and say, you know, can kind of tell you by the number of accidents we've had that traffic was probably looked a little bit lighter this year than it did last year at this time.
And I just wonder perhaps if that's because of the brutally, bitterly cold temperatures and weather, maybe folks were a little hesitant to get out and travel.
Yeah, people probably not want to get too far away from those gas logs or that central heating this year. It has been a cold one, but in typical Mississippi fashion, we had a really cold weekend this weekend, and next weekend for New Year's, we could go out and lay by the swimming pool. So,
yeah, exactly.
I'm seeing 70 degrees for New Year's, so that's probably going to be a busy weekend next weekend.
All right, so you said 5 fatalities. How does that compare to last year or prior years, Captain?
Well, I pulled the number. We had 1 fatal crash last year over the Christmas holiday period. A lot more traffic, a lot more crashes. Like I said, twice the number of crashes, but only one fatal. I did look. You know, me and you are always talking about these kind of things. And, you know, our seat belts and restraint laws, and that's one of our topics we always talk about. I did look at these crashes, and it would appear that none of our fatalities over the weekend were restrained in their vehicle. So that continues to be a common denominator in fatal crashes is non-restrained drivers and occupants, which is, like I always say, is something we could change, something we can do something about. But it's just sad either way. We hate, right here at the holidays, there's never a good time to lose someone, but over the holidays, it's got to be the worst time for sure.
So did I hear you right, Captain, that of the 5 fatalities which occurred in the state during this holiday travel period, none had their seatbelts on? Is that what you said, sir?
None restrained. Yes, George. What's it? Actually, one of those crashes, it looks to be a pedestrian-involved crash.
Okay.
So that there's going to be no seatbelt involved in that.
Yeah.
And that was another thing I talked to you about last time.
You sure did.
Has been the influx of those crashes across the state since I started really keeping up with it all and being able to see it on a regular basis. Pedestrian involved. So that number was counted in with our 5 fatal crashes there.
Okay. Is there any pattern that can be detected at this point, determined at this point, as to what caused these crashes? Were they speeding, not paying attention, anything like that, running red lights and so forth?
I'd have to look on that. I might be able to talk to you more about that the next time because I'll have to look at some of the accident reports.
Sure.
I haven't seen those yet, so I don't really know what the contributing circumstances are. But I did notice on the reports, they're not showing that anyone there was any restraints used in any of those fatalities. So I do know that, but as far as contributing, I'm not sure.
Golly. You and I started talking about the pedestrian situation when I shared with you my personal experience where I had to avoid a pedestrian crossing I-55 not far from this building where we're sitting here at the county line exit. With all sorts of traffic at a prime travel period, 7 o'clock or so at night, and you can't see a person who's trying to hop between the lanes, literally crossing the interstate there. And I noticed the cars that were swerving to avoid, and I followed suit as well. I took my breath away after I passed a person, going at interstate speeds.
It's just not something normal you're accustomed to seeing on a highway, or especially not on the interstate. So a lot of times people are not expecting that. I've had a few catch me by surprise driving, and I'll look up and maybe in dark clothing or what have you, and I'll be like, hey, that was a person there, standing on the side of the road and kind of, don't know what they're doing out there. A lot of times pedestrian involved crashes are a lot of times related to, someone maybe with car trouble, changing a flat or something, or maybe out of gas or something other. Those do happen from time to time, but it seems like a lot of these we're seeing are just people out traveling, walking from one place to another, and involved in collision with a car.
So we have another enforcement period coming up this weekend with New Year's. Is it the same schedule, 6 a.m. on Friday in this case through 12 p.m.?
That's right, Gerard.
Yeah, 12 a.m. actually, right? Or 12 p.m.
Yeah, midnight on Monday.
Midnight.
Our home for the holidays campaign is what we call this enforcement campaign. You have Christmas and a little period there, and then we take you go back to normal work and everything, and then you're off again for the second half of the campaign over the New Year's holidays. So that will start Friday morning at 6, and it will go through the weekend and conclude Monday on midnight. And I'm hoping to that we do better on the at least on the fatal crash part of it this year.
Yeah. All right. So, do we have typically heavier traffic on around the Christmas holiday or New Year's? Or do you have that data?
That varies back and forth. I would think Christmas would be a little bit more traveler because it's more of a family oriented holiday. A lot of people out traveling. It's kind of similar to what Thanksgiving, I guess you would say. New Year's is usually a locally celebrated event. You might go out to some friends or up the road somewhere to a gathering or something. Those are a lot more, I would say, locally. But there will be a lot of traffic out. A lot of people maybe not as many cross-country or interstate travelers, but there will be a lot of traffic on the road for that too. So we'll just have to see. The numbers are different. Weather patterns have a lot to do with it as well. I think it being a warmer holiday, I think traffic will be on the uptick. It'll be a lot more, conditions will be a lot more favorable for travel over New Year's.
Yeah, I'd also have to think that New Year's typically you got more parties, more alcohol consumption. That increases the risk of that. Probably less of that around Christmas. But, Captain, we, as always, appreciate you and all our state troopers for working throughout these holidays to keep our roadways here in Mississippi State. Appreciate it, sir. I hope you and yours continue to have a great holiday. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Joe. I appreciate the opportunity to get on and share. Y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you at the end of New Year's, man. Have a happy New Year, and we'll talk to you then.
You got it. Coming right back.